Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk, back again with another project for you as part of my Painted Harvest week. And this time it's a little gift box for some wax melts. Now these are used in wax melters. This one is a Yankee candle one, and this box holds two of them. However, I also bought a one from my local supermarket in case you can't get Yankee candles, and they do seem to be identical size. So all you do is slide the band off. There's a little panel on the inside for you to write, and as you can see there are two gaps here for you to put your Yankee candles in. They just open at the end and out they slide. So it's a really nice way, and they don't look very exciting as they are, but it's a nice way just to present a little thank you gift to people, just to say thank you. So using Painted Harvest, I'll pop those to one side and let's start off. So take a piece of A4 cardstock, and that's either UK or US, either or. Okay, and you will need to cut your cardstock to 7 1/4 by 9 1/4, so 17.6 by 23.1. So I'm going to cut on the long edge at 9 1/4, so that's our 23.1, and then at 7 1/4, so that's 18.6 I should have said, so 18.6. Okay, so once you've done that, you're then going to do some scoring. And you're going to score the long edge. I'm going to do this in inches. 2 3/8, 6 centimetres. 3 1/8, 7.8 centimetres. 5 1/2, 13.8, and 6 1/4. So just avoiding that horrible bit, but it's right on that edge there. So 15.4, and then 8 5/8, so just over the 8 1/2 mark, which is 21.4. Then turn it to portrait mode, and you're going to score the short edge first of all at 1/2 inch. So then flip it around. So we measured that on the right hand side, so that's 1 centimetre, 1 1/4 inches, 2.8, 6 inches, so 14.8, and 15.2. No, it is 14.8 because I've remeasured it for centimetres, and 6 3/4 inches. So again, I've managed to avoid those horrible marks. So there we go, that's our card base, our box base already done. I will put all of the dimensions on my blog, so if you want to go there, you'll be able to obviously copy those down and get whether it's centimetres or inches. Next we're going to fold and burnish all of these score lines. And then again on our horizontal, and they really need a good burnish because these are going to be flaps that tuck in, so just make sure you give that second sort of score line a really good burnish so it stays nice and firm. Okay, so if we open out our card, I'm just going to show you the way we're folding it is like this. Okay, so this is going to fold and stick on the inside. It's a bit like making the diorama card that I did. It's a similar kind of idea. So that'll give you an idea of what you're trimming. So with the narrow edge, you're going to trim away those squares there. Okay, and because that's the bit that's going to create the flap, we're then so that's creating our flap. We're then going to come straight down on the side here, and that's going to tuck in. should have actually left a flap on the other end, but I'll show you how we can correct that, so don't panic. And because these are tabs, we're just going to notch out. This is actually the third time I've tried to film this. First time I got interrupted, always good. And then the second time, my camera battery went flat halfway through recording. And I tend to do it in one hit rather than... I didn't realise until I'd got quite a way through the recording, so it wasn't like I could sort of stop and restart and splice them together. So this is the third attempt, so hopefully, so having made a mistake on this, I'm doing really well. Okay, so like so. Okay, so this is, let's say, this is our bit that's going to fold in, because we want those tabs on the top. Okay, we're then going to cut up here. Tab. And create our tab. Again, we're going to notch out. And then this flap on the very end, so this is the end without the narrow strip, is going to be our top flap, so we can just trim away all of the flaps there. Okay, so the last bit that we've got left to do is to trim away these back pieces, so these ones here. And this one on this side. So you will end up with something that looks like this. So this is our box base, the back and the top. So what we're now going to do is actually punch our holes in the front here before we do any gluing. Okay, so this is going to create our box with our flaps, and those are going to then tuck in on either side. We'll decorate the front and the inside. But as I say, don't be tempted to go, I'll create my box, let's stick it down. Now we're going to do some punching of circles. So what I've done, you'll see here, is no, I haven't. I've picked up the wrong post-it notes. Okay, I'll get some fresh post-it notes. Okay, punch post-it note. Okay, it's this size here, which is 1.5 inches. See, and then you also want a 1 3/4 inches punch as well, like so. And the reason I use post-it notes is because once you've it just makes it easier to line it up. So just punch a couple of circles out, make sure you punch where the sticky bit is, and then all you need to do is just pop those on either side till you're happy that they're going to be evenly spaced. So it doesn't have to be precise, but I just find it, that little bit easier. If you want to use a ruler, if precision is your thing, then that's fine too. So add those on to this flap here, so that's going to be our top. Come in, tuck the flap in, and it'll be quite firm to punch, but just line up that circle, give it a good firm punch. Do the same again on here. And my punch looks like it might need a bit of love and attention to sharpen that. So to get rid of that furry bit, I'm just using a bit of an emery bit here. There we go. And that will just smooth that down. Always worth having one of these on board, and a trusty pair of paper snips as well. So you can. So perhaps I need to do a session on sharpening my punches. So having done that, those are the apertures. You can now glue your box together. Obviously this is a box, so on this bit we're going to be using our fuse. So remember our flick at the end, fold that in and just fold it flat like so. The next thing I'm going to do is take some contrasting card, and I've got some nice Tangerine Tango here, and come in with your 1.5 inch punch first, give yourself plenty of border, and punch 2 circles. Definitely need to sharpen that punch. Then come in and just centre that punch up like so. And again, like so, and punch yourself 2 circles. Then what I do is I come in with just a little bit of Tombow, which is our wet glue, and I just put some dots around the outside edge. Don't want it too sort of globby, don't want it too bubbly either, obviously be a little bit generous there. Just little tiny dots as we go around, and just leave those to one side just for a moment to kind of, there you go, and then join them up very slightly. So there we go, just sort of bring that round. Pop your glue to one side, and then I usually use my piercing tool just to help me. Flip those over and pop them around the outside. Now you don't have to don't do what I've just done, which is pick it up on your finger. Sorry, here we go. So just pop those on the outside. You obviously don't have to do this. You could use dies if you've got dies instead. You don't have to put a wrap around at all. You could put a layer of DSP and punch through. I just quite like the effect that you get from putting a little frame around an aperture. Now when that glue dries, what I will probably do is come in with my glue eraser and actually get rid of any excess on that as well. So while that's drying, we now need to put our layers onto the top and choose a nice layer of contrast card. As I said, Tangerine Tango is what I've used, which is one of the Brights colours. But obviously you could use something like Pumpkin Pie, that would fit in just as well. Or you could use a completely different colour if you wanted to. What I do is I keep all my bits of card in these plastic envelopes, so that when I need something I can just go to it and grab it, although that's Peekaboo Peach, so that isn't a particularly useful example. Right, I can't see my Tangerine Tango just yet, so all you need to do is cut a piece of card now for the top layer. So pop your punches out of the way, and you're going to cut a piece of card for the front that is 4.5 by 2 1/8. And in fact I'm going to do my 2 1/8 and my 4.5 just to make the most of my card. Okay. That's going to go as a layer onto the front, and then I'm going to use some of the designer series paper that comes in Painted Harvest. And the one I've used on the other box is this one here, which is got this gorgeous pattern on the reverse. And I say you get to see quite a bit of it. Or I might use this one here, which is an off-cut I've got. So because I've got a smallish piece, I always want to use it up. So this piece is 4.25 by 1 7/8 or 11 by 5. So 1 7/8 by 4.25, like so. And again, this is just to show that whatever the DSP you're using with Stampin' Up, on the one side it's usually got quite a heavy pattern and a sort of a theme to it. So this one obviously is a harvest themed paper, but on the reverse is a more generic pattern that we've got, which is what I've used on here. Okay, right, so pop that on. Like so. So now we can pop our wax melts in, pop those tabs and fold it up, and then we can get on with our stamping on our layers. So in terms of the stamping on the layers, I'm using Very Vanilla because that's the background colour that we've got on here, and I've used my stitch framelits, which I've got here, and whenever I use them I always cut out a couple of extras, so I've always got one to hand make a quick card when I want to. And for this card what I'm going to do is use my Pumpkin Pie ink, and the set from the sentiment, I should say, here we go, just line that up. Sentiment from the Painted Harvest stamp set. And then for the leaves, these are a 2-step leaf, and what I'm using is I'm using my lemon lime twist, and the first time I'm doing it I'm punching in full strength like so, and then I'm coming in to stamp with the contrast colour in a paler colour as well. And for this, for the leaves, I'm going to stamp them another 2 times. So while I've got my detailed leaf, I'm just going to stamp them just vertically like this, so, and then I'm going to come in with my detailed one, stamp first, and then it's much easier to line up when you've got the strong contrast colour behind, and just come over the top. So I'm just lining that up. And if you're slightly out, it really doesn't matter, because it is designed to have a kind of watercolourish look. Then all you need to do is come in with your punch and punch there and punch there. So those are our 2 leaves. I've got a panel which is exactly the same size for the inside, and again you can choose, but I'm going to use just my detail to add some interest to the edges there, and obviously that gives you a space for you to actually write your message of thanks or who it's to and from on the inside. So all we have left to do is attach this to our insides, so again flat to flat, so it's snail. On the front we just need to use a little bit of wet glue on the stem here. Rather too much wet glue on the stem on that one, but you know, best to be generous, I suppose. And we're going to use a couple of dimensionals on the back there as well, so pop those in the middle, pop our leaves where you fancy. I'm just going to put one in each kind of corner on a diagonal, just to create a bit of interest like so. And because it's got that stitching, you don't really need to add an extra layer onto that at all. Then I'm just taking a piece of our burlap ribbon and just overlapping that, and then I shall take a piece of thread, okay, which I have clearly put down somewhere. So if this happens to you, don't worry, just tie it on the side there. What I was there we go, I've just spotted it. What I was intending to do was exactly this. Here we go. Put your piece of linen thread across the middle, lay your piece of burlap together, and simply come in and tie a simple knot. If as it's done it'll spring out a little bit, don't worry, just ease it together and then tie your knot. And then all you need to do is just pop that in the middle, trim those away or tie it into a bow, whichever you prefer. And there you have a wax melt box, a double wax melt box using the Painted Harvest stamp set. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to visit my shop, heidismith.stampinup.net, or follow the links on my blog, www.flutterbyheidi.co.uk. Come back and see me again soon. Bye now.